Get the YouTube going. All right, looks like we got them both going here. All right, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome, welcome. You guys are going to get to experience something amazing. This is a first right now. You are tuning into Millennial Nation. And I got some stuff written down. We go proper introduction. Welcome, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And I thank you for tuning in to Millennial Nation. I am your host, the OG Millennial, and we are going to be looking at this crazy world through the eyes of millennials similar to myself. And I think, of course, we are going to invite our Gen Xers and our Gen Zers along on this ride as well. You know, you are definitely more than welcome to come along on this journey. We're going to be spending some time looking back on some stuff. We're going to be spending some time talking about stuff that's happening at the moment. And speaking of that, I guess some things just to get right into it. You know, this millennial nation is dealing with quite a few things. Some are good and some are bad. But I am going to try and focus on the lighter hearted stuff, the good stuff. Sometimes it might get a little deep, you know, it might get some good conversations going, but we'll kind of see how that all turns out in the end, I guess, you know, and how many of you guys come along on this ride with me. So we're going to focus on some entertainment stuff, sports stuff, wrestling stuff, nerd stuff. We're going to get into a little bit of millennial nostalgia. We're going to talk a little bit about news, you know, stuff happening around the world, mostly local stuff. I'm going to be letting the world know what's happening here in California. Great Los Angeles, California. Beautiful, beautiful. Santa Ana's coming around. I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. And then we're going to try and close it out with something positive and uplifting, you know. Probably something that has to do with our health, something that can help us stay alive longer, right? So just to jump right into this here, I guess we're going to go ahead and start with WWE. And we're going to talk about their ticket prices and how they've pretty much doubled over the last couple years. If you think back to the 90s, if you were a wrestling fan and you were able to save up some money to go to a show and watch it live, you were probably saving up about $15 to $30 for some mediocre nosebleed seats. But in 2025, it's jumped up to about $59 to $120 for like these generic seats, right? I'm not even talking about the seats that are around the ringside or are next to the ramp so you could give a high five to these people as they're walking to the ring, right? So those tickets go for hundreds of dollars, starting in LA. Like you go to Anaheim, you go to like the Honda or whatever it is, the Toyota arena out there, where the Angels play. You can catch tickets for like $400 or $500. But we got WrestleMania season coming around, man, and WrestleMania is not cheap. The TKO, the new company that merged with WWE and also is merged with the UFC. They're charging about $1,000 now for a WrestleMania seat. And again, that's not even at a seat where you're in like the first 20 rows or even on the bottom floor. That's $1,000 for like the second tier of seats, right? So, you know, you kind of have to ask yourself, or I at least have to ask myself, like, is it worth it as a wrestling fan to invest that much money to go watch a show that's only a couple hours? You know, I think it could be good, you know, if it's a right lineup. Definitely, there are some matches that you can get excited about, but I mean, for the most part, I'm not paying that much money. You know, I'm already paying about $100 to streaming services just to watch the programs itself, so it's kind of a headache already, you know. We're gonna save that for another one, though, you know, 'cause I don't want to shit on the wrestling too much, you know. But we do got the NFL. It just ended. You know, we got the Super Bowl winners, the Seattle Seahawks. But, you know, now that this season's over, we want to start thinking about next season, right? We got some off-season actions happening where you're going to get to pick up some free agents. You're going to get to sign some rookies and stuff. So, predictions, man. We're predicting the 2027 Super Bowl. If you're listening right now, tell me who you think's got a chance to win the Super Bowl next year. And if you happen to have a reason why you think they have a chance, then let me know that also. Because I personally think that the Chiefs are going to be going back to the Super Bowl. I think they had a little bit of time off, you know. But most importantly, they still have that coach, Andy Reid, and that great quarterback, Patty Mahomes, right? And when you got those two, you got a recipe for a Super Bowl win almost every time. It's like the Belichick Brady repeat, pretty much, you know. And I definitely got love for the 49ers, and I would like to place them up there. But, honestly, watching the Niners over the last 10 years or so, it's just very disappointing to see us get so close and then just not make it, and normally due to injuries. But because of that disappointment, it's causing me to not think that they're going to go for sure next year. I think they might get beat out probably by the Eagles, if not the Chiefs. I think the Eagles in the NFC next year, they're going to come back looking to make a point, especially the way they got put out by the 49ers in the first round of the playoffs. I think that they're going to use this entire offseason to just fuel up on anger and rage, and they're going to take it out on the season this upcoming year. So um, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Chiefs, Eagles, probably Chiefs and Eagles. I don't know. What do you guys think? We got the Winter Olympics coming up too. Oh no, they're happening right now, man. It shows how involved I am with the Winter Olympics, man. I am not watching these Winter Olympics, man. It's not totally my fault. I don't have Peacock, so I can't watch it on the streaming services. And that's how I watch everything nowadays, is all through streaming services. I got everything running through the PlayStation, so I'm nice and hooked up, ready to go. But I canceled that Peacock, man. I just got too many streaming services. I had like 12 of them when I added them all up, including like my apps on the phone and stuff. Like, just too many services. So I'm not watching the Peacock, so I'm not watching the Winter Olympics. But I do get to catch some highlights. I saw some highlights over the weekend, some ice skating highlights. This kid doing backflips on the ice. It was amazing that he didn't crack his head open. I really thought that he was gonna bust his head when he did that backflip. I don't remember his name. I'm sure one of you guys might remember his name, and if you could put it on there, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, I feel like I could only watch the Winter Olympics on Peacock or NBC, and I don't have regular television and I don't have Peacock. So how can I watch these Winter Olympics? I guess maybe go to their page. Yeah, probably go to the Winter Olympics page. Probably be the best way, I think. My friend at Bobby Lopez mentioned that on our other show, Technically Speaking News, where we're giving you news that you can use. um, but let's see, hockey, right? Hockey's a good one. I would probably watch hockey. Another one I would probably watch would be like the snowboarding and skiing events. Those are pretty exciting for the Winter Olympics. Bobsledding, just because of that movie Cool Runnings back in '93. They had the Jamaicans doing the bobsledding, and they had the John Candy as their coach, and they were able to win gold in bobsledding. Guys from Jamaica. It was a great movie, but so moving on, man. But speaking of the '90s, man, like I was still watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right, during the '90s. Uh, TMNT, I guess, is what it's abbreviated as now, which makes it way easier for most people, right? But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man, it was pretty special nostalgic moment right there for millennials. I think most millennials had an opportunity to watch some shows of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whether you were a huge fan and bought the toys and the video games or not. It was definitely one of those primetime cartoon light-ups on Sunday morning. And it hasn't gone anywhere. Here it is 30 something years later, and they're still making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle content. They're still making new cartoons, and they're changing up some of the characters so they have a new cast of heroes, I guess. And I mean, if you think about it, this franchise has dropped 10 movies. Like, if you're a franchise and you could drop 10 movies, then you've accomplished the Fast and Furious pretty much. And that's a long time and a lot of hours that people have spent watching this program. And I'm just curious, man. Do you think that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will ever disappear, man? I don't think these ninjas are ever gonna disappear and go anywhere, man. At least not like Pogs did. Pogs were a crazy game back in the late '80s, early '90s. Anybody have some Pogs out there? Some of those old school milk caps. You guys think those will ever come back? People will be playing Pogs again, getting their slammers out there, the big gold or the big brass, and pow, flipping over those little milk caps. All right, so we're gonna move on to something a little bit more serious now. I'm gonna talk about the Santa Ana winds, because I live here in Los Angeles, and last year we got hit with some big fires. Anybody who watches any type of news saw all the lands in Pacific Palisades charred to the ground. We had a couple other fires, one out near Pasadena and some out in Riverside County. And Last year, I watched our city burn down, and the air quality was terrible for me. Working outdoors, cleaning swimming pools, I had to breathe a lot of that smoke in. A lot of the neighborhoods that I do work in were affected by the fires, so it affected my work. But most importantly, it affected people's housing. A lot of people lost their houses. And unfortunately, a lot of those people in some of those areas still a year later are not allowed to go back and do anything on their land, right? Like all those houses that burned down in Malibu and in Pacific Palisades are still red tagged. Most people are not allowed to go back to their properties a year later and start rebuilding. And if they do get the chance, it's because they went through tons and tons of paperwork. Los Angeles has made it so hard for these homeowners to reinvest in the land that they already invested in. And it's a shame. It's a shame to see how California is making some money off the backs of a tragedy in some ways, because I believe the plan is to go in there and redevelop the land and subsidize it for cheaper housing and more affordable housing. Was Gavin Newsom's plan. But how is that fair to the people who spent generations there, probably in some cases, and have had their entire lives just completely uprooted? To not have the ability to go back and rebuild just kind of seems weird to me. And the weirdest thing about it is the fact that it's probably going to happen again this year. Maybe not in the same areas or locations, but every year for like the last 5 to 7 years, we've had fires. It's like California's new natural disaster. And even though most of these fires are started by, in the end, what they say are electricity poles, old wiring, which could be part of the case, a lot of it has to do with arson too. Some people are just starting these fires. Like I've already seen 2 fires this year already that were just lit, like on the side of the freeway. Someone's starting a fire. Some of them aren't started by people though. Some of them really get started by these Santa Ana winds. These crazy winds come in and they blow all over Los Angeles, and they're causing these power watts, like the towers, to like sparkle and in some cases explode, especially if they fall to the ground. And because they never clear out any of that dead brush in there, it's easy for it to re-catch. All that stuff that got burned down last year, it's still there. So if you ever started a fire in a fire pit where you had burned wood previously and there was still wood chunks in there that were burned, it's very easy to relight those in the right conditions. If it's dry and you have a lot of wind creating oxygen, it just takes a spark to relight those logs. And think about that over the vast acreage of an entire forest. The LA forest, which encompasses all those hills, the Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills, Pacific Palisades, all the way to the other side into San Fernando Valley. It's all the same area. And all of that brush is there being rekindled every year. It's the same thing in Riverside, in all of those fires that happen in Riverside County. And I'm sure even further north into California. I don't travel up north to like San Francisco, Sacramento, Oakland area. So I don't know how it's happening there. But I travel up to Riverside. And a lot of these fires are from Riverside all the way down to the ocean. And it can be taken care of if we got some people out there to clear out all the dead brush, all the stuff that's basically getting caught back on fire. So if we don't get in there and clean that stuff out, it's just going to keep on getting relit every year. And we're going to go through this cycle of unhealthiness, unnecessary unhealthiness, but more importantly, loss. And we don't want loss out there for these poor people, whether they're in Los Angeles in a rich neighborhood like Pacific Palisades or a poorer neighborhood somewhere else around the US, right? It's a tragedy in all instances. So I think the best thing to do is to watch leadership and how leadership goes about handling preparations for this upcoming Santa Ana winds. Because every year they're going to come. They come always during the same time, between the end of February and the beginning of April is when we get the hardest winds. And they fired the fire chief last year because of her lack of response to the fires that happened last year in Pacific Palisades and outside of Pasadena. And her name was what was it? Fire Chief Christian Crowley, right? So the fire chief Crowley, um, she got fired. She got fired by Karen Bass, and I'm not sure who's in there now, but I personally haven't seen any type of updates or any type of announcements that are preparing Californians, specifically Los Angeles, us Angelinos, for the chances of upcoming fires this season. So I want to give us an opportunity. If you're from LA or California, or listen to this, keep your grass watered, but more importantly, clear out any dead brush that you have. Right, you got that brown dead grass, man. It's almost better to just put rock, because it just takes a little spark for that thing to ignite, and you might lose everything when you don't have to. So that was kind of dark and negative, but it's shit that's happening, and sometimes we got to talk about the stuff that's happening so we can shed light on it, and hopefully we can see some changes. And the last thing I want to shed light on is just our health. I want to think about my health personally, because I'm in my early 40s now, and physiologically, I guess I'm starting to go through changes. So I need to start managing my diet better. I need to start increasing my not so much workout rate, but just trying to make an effort to be more healthy as far as reading labels and being active. And so I want to talk about food dyes, because food dyes is something that a lot of people really don't pay attention to, but it's in everything. If you're eating something or drinking something that's loaded with red 40 or yellow 40, I just want you guys to know that originally it comes from coal tar, right? So if you have coal, the stuff that is created, gas and steam engines and stuff, right? If you take that tar, you can transform it into like a powder and turn it into a food dye. But nowadays they just use petroleum, and everybody knows that petroleum is something that's used in oil, making crude oil. So just keep in mind when you're eating anything with some of these food dyes, your body is ingesting petroleum, and petroleum is in a very digestible source. Has zero nutrient values, and a lot of times is just used as a cover up for artificial ingredients. Um, so if you guys just look at the back of the packages, I'm not going to get too into it, but if it's got red 40 and yellow 40, just keep in mind that that stuff is petroleum. It doesn't fully digest in your system, and sometimes it could cause side effects. If it's the yellow 40, it could affect your eyesight if you have too much of it. If it's the red 40 in kids, it's what creates hyperactivity, right? Yeah, kids bouncing off the wall. It's probably because you're feeding them or you're allowing them to drink stuff with red 40 in it. And all these things have carcinogens that are addictions, addictiveness, like cigarettes. It's the same shit they put in cigarette filters, carcinogens. It makes people get addicted to it. So if you're stuck eating these snacks or these junk foods, or what I'm learning now, even like meats at the grocery store that come with pre-seasonings or pre-sauces, like the teriyaki sauces, and you know what I'm talking about, like food that comes pre-prepared with sauces and seasonings. Read those. Make sure that they're natural ingredients. Avoid those food dyes in your food, guys. It'll help your digestion 100%. And I just want to encourage you guys, when you're stuck in a rut and you can't find your way out, have something outside of yourself to pray to, or to look up to, whether that's a religion or a role model or something. It's always good to have something that you could look to that's going to give you a source of encouragement. Family is a great source. A couple friends, or even finding somebody online who you could just talk to and listen to, could really help pull you out of a funk if you ever find yourself in a funk, right? So it's the first Millennial Nation number 1. If you guys got any suggestions or input, for sure share it. I'm definitely looking to get advice from people on this venture. I'm not too sure with what I'm doing, but I know that if I stay focused and I ask questions, I could probably create something here that's going to be powerful and very moving. So I got my YouTube recording here, GoPro camera there. I hope you caught me this whole way through, and it's not going to be like my eyes going up and down. We'll see though. We'll see. You guys are watching Millennial Nation. I am the OG Millennial. You can follow me at Instagram or on YouTube at O_G_Millennial. And give a like, a comment maybe. Subscribe. Definitely looking for subscriptions. Got to get to, I think they told me 60. If I get to 60, I could start going live. So, I might go live. We'll see. All right. Y'all be safe out there, man. Be safe.